The game I'm going to talk about now is Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia is a fantasy platforming game originally developed by a guy called Jordan Mechner. Apologies if I'm saying the name wrong. It was released in 1989 for the Apple II system. At the time, the game was held in high regard. People claimed that it represented a great technological leap forward in terms of the quality of animation used in video games. As with most games which do extremely well, it was soon ported to just about anything that could cope with it. The SNES version was done by Persia Software, might be saying that wrong, a company set up by former Technosoft staff members. It was published by Masaya in Japan and Konami in both the US and Europe. I was thrilled when I originally played a home computer version of this game, but the thrill had faded a little by the time I played the SNES version. Have you ever played a game and decided that it had the basics down right but that it just lacked something? That there was the bare bones of a classic in place but that the project needed fleshing out? The graphics are plain but the movement is still very impressive. For those who've played the original, it's important to note that the SNES version is in fact longer. It's best to consider it a sort of director's cut extended cut. Instead of the original 13 levels, this version has 20. In the original you had 1 hour to complete the game, but this has been increased here to 2 hours due to the added length. It's great to see so much added to this conversion in terms of gameplay, and it helps to make the game worth considering if you've already seen what it has to offer on an earlier release on a different platform. The game offers a good if basic story and a good degree of challenge. You won't be finishing this game quickly, in fact you'll probably make slow steady progress punctuated with bouts of swearing. I praise the game for its atmosphere and challenge, but there's also a lot I have to say about the things that bug me. My main gripe with the game is that at times the controls feel kinda slidey. Now we're not getting into awful control territory here like Ultraman, but they're just not as crisp as I'd like them to be. Often you'll need to stop running before you run off a ledge and fall to your doom. And you just feel that little bit too skiddy for my liking, meaning that you end up turning the air blue as you plummet to your death. The game is also more or less silent, and although the movements in the game look impressive, there could be a lot more flavour added to the graphics. When it comes to presentation, it just seems like a very bare bones product, which is a shame. I guess after having seen the Konami name on the European box, I'd sort of expected a Konami level of presentation. That's the thing when you put someone else's logo on your product by having them publish it for you. It can act as good publicity and pull people in to, for the well-known name, but it can also come as a curse, as names and logos come with a reputation, and you find your product having to live up to these. There are other games, though, that came out after this title which I feel used the game as a stepping stone, and in doing so managed to offer a much fuller, richer experience. You might be better off spending your hard-earned money on one of those. I think the influences from this game can still be seen in games today. I think there's a definite case to make that this game was an incredibly important piece of software which helped shape so many titles which followed in its wake, much in the same way as Mario Kart helped to birth seemingly 1 million character kart games. Prince of Persia's DNA can be felt in more places than I can name, tunnelling its way through action platformer after action platformer. Of course, as most people are aware, the Prince of Persia names lived on well into the more recent gaming environment, with an awesome trilogy of games carrying the name and some of the original DNA, appearing on the PS2, Xbox and GameCube. I'd give this game a 7 out of 10. It can be frustrating, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Every time you play, you'll get a little bit further, you'll solve another puzzle, or you'll work out where you're supposed to be going just before you die. It has a very strong just one more go quality. I do think you need to think long and hard about the kinds of games you like before purchasing this though. If you don't mind slowly making progress and learning from your mistakes, then you'll benefit more from the game. If you like instantaneous rewards and a game you can very easily make quick progress in, then this probably isn't the game for you. My copy of Prince of Persia is a loose Japanese cart which I managed to get for a couple of quid a few years ago. If you really wanted to give this game a going over, you'd be looking at paying between £15 to £25 for a PAL copy, depending on how lucky you are and if the game has a box and manual or not. I've seen a few boxed American copies going for as little as £13, so if you have a converter or a modified or import system, that might be the way to go. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Hope you have a good day.